It's 5:30.
You probably haven't seen him since like
Good to
first
see
grade.
you all coming out this evening. Well, if we can quiet down the board.
Thank you. Very exciting, yeah.
If you haven't signed in, please sign in.
All right, Quinn, you got to sign in.
Yeah, and everyone please sign in because I'm not great with names.
Maybe something. I think she's coming.
I want to be accurate, so.
And kids. Oh, I remember.
Are there any introductions needed? Review of operating norms, if you would, Catherine?
Sorry, I had a minute ago. Everything in order, so I have it ready.
That's the problem right there. Be polite, respectful.
I'm sorry, I thought that I had them right here.
Yes.
2 mornings.
Well, by the end of the meeting, we'll find out how we did without the initial review. It's okay.
Can I interrupt you if I come across them?
Yes. So, public comment.
And I would reference the operating norms, but you guys don't seem to know what they are. They do say that you are to be responsive and responsible to your community. I know that. And I've heard some dismissive comments by both public and board members saying that people who are disagreeing with what the board has done are a small vocal minority. And I just really want to address that. The vast majority of public opinion, public comment has been against what this library board has done, both in firing Lindsay without documented cause and in their conduct in the many meetings since then, especially with regard to the hiring of a lawyer and the secretive payment of that lawyer. The public has asked time and time again for this board to offer mediation to Lindsay and to be much more forthcoming about your board work, yet this board has ignored those requests. I'd estimate about 95% of the comments have been critical of the board, but to be generous, let's just say that's 90%. Keep in mind that speaking out against the board is difficult. You are our neighbors, our friends, and people we might have voted for. It's easy to say, oh, I support the board. It's kind of easy to say that. And it doesn't come with any risk. So we are putting ourselves out there to be heard. You've had so much public comment against you that you started to limit it. You've heard from a variety of people, though, from different professions with different board experiences, giving insightful comments as to your conduct. Yet you have done nothing to address our concerns. Your operating norms state that you are to be responsive and responsible to the community, but you haven't. You've continued to hear these criticisms and suggestions. We're not just absolutely firing criticism, we're offering ways to help heal the community and to have some sort of positive thing going forward. But you just have not listened to us or even come up with your own ways to bridge this disconnect. You're doing the town of Pawlet a huge disservice. Lauren is the newest board member. She has the full weight of public opinion supporting her. She is the only one of you who has been elected since this happened. She won by a strong margin against the candidate who was supported by the board chair. This should give you all pause. Tonight, I'm asking the 4 board members who voted to fire Lindsay in November to step down, as it is clear you are not able to listen to your community.
Thank you, Corey. Are there other comments? Joanne?
We are living in a society that has become divided, where discourse and respect for one another has been lost. Unfortunately, this atmosphere has invaded our Pawlet Community Library. Many in our community had hoped and encouraged the library board to reverse their decision to fire Lindsay, mediate, reinstate, establish a procedure with reviews, even for a short period of time. Unfortunately, this has not been the case, leaving the library afloat without professional direction for 6 months. I hope in moving forward, the library board reflects on the last 6 months and how their decision has negatively affected this community and considers the steps it needs to take in the future so the library community is never left in this situation again. And P.S. I made an acquaintance today who said she was approached and asked, which side are you on? And this is what's happened to our community. Which side are you on? This never should have happened, and I hope it never happens again in the future. Let's try to move forward in a positive way.
Thank you, Joanne. Are there, Martha?
I would like to commend the board for moving forward in a positive way. I thought the ad in the newspapers was excellent. It shows that you've given thought to what the responsibilities of the new library director should be, and you've defined the job description extremely well, so it's very well done. And I'd also like to commend you for putting the importance right now on the rule of procedure for meetings. I think that's extremely important, and many of these meetings in the last 5-6 months have been very volatile, and I almost feel that the board members themselves are being harassed in these meetings by the tone of voice, the aggression directed at you. So I think these rules and procedures, which I understand you're going to be addressing tonight, are a huge step in the right direction because it requires decorum of both the board and the public that are sitting here as not participants in the meeting, but as public that are allowed to be at an open meeting. Thank you.
I'd like to respond. I'd like to respond to Martha's comment. And I appreciate what you're saying. I'm allowed to respond to the comment.
No, actually.
Yes, I am. Actually, I am.
We're hearing public comment.
And I can respond. What statute says I can't respond?
You might get yelled at for it.
Well, I can get yelled at, but, I mean, do you want to
Sorry.
review open meeting law? I mean, has this board reviewed open meeting law? You guys are well versed in it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
then,
the idea for public comment isn't to have a discussion.
but an open meeting law requires interactive, it is actually.
I'm not sure it requires any.
Actually, if I reviewed today, and I think that we could all use refreshers on it, and I guess you can interpret it different ways, but the purpose of a municipal board and this board is to act on behalf of our public. So I think that part of the reason that it's gotten contentious and uncomfortable is because the town isn't feeling like they're part of the process, Harley. I mean, yes, this board has a right, and you have the right of executive session and all that information that is protected in that, but ordinarily there would be evaluation, even with the job description that was already posted in newspapers and on Front Porch Forum. That was never discussed in a public forum. We never discussed it openly. Those are things that are supposed to be done collectively. That's not one person's responsibility. Are you, first of all, Jed?
Sorry? Excuse me a minute. Why do you assert that those things are supposed to be done collectively?
Well, it doesn't mean that we all have to participate in it, but all the decisions that are made for the library should be done with the entire board, not singularly. Like, for instance, you putting those ads in the paper and then paying for them and then looking for payment afterwards is not proper form. That's like not how you do it. It would be something discussed. I'm in charge of the hiring committee and I'm gonna post these job descriptions and this is my budget for advertising, and then the board would agree. It isn't something that you go do on your own and then come back to the board and say, I've done this, and if you agree, will you pay for it? That's just not practice. That's not the way it should run.
Why is that?
It's open meeting law. It's the way that the board should be run. It's the way the warrants should be done.
Why do you say that?
I guess because that's the way it's done on every other board that I've ever been on or witnessed. That's the way it should be done. Are you saying that your new way is better or should be done that way? Or you're saying that you've experienced?
I'm questioning that the only
Okay, the
process.
reason for that, Harley, is that so people aren't individually going out and doing things on behalf of the board and then coming back and saying, I've done this on behalf of the library on my own, and then do you like it or not like it? You do it ahead of time, so collectively, whatever it is, in the majority, you agree on it, and then that is then going forward. This is important discussion, and it should be done in public. So I appreciate you looking at your watch, and I do not want the meeting to go to
I will be
11.
cutting off public comment in 10 minutes, at 10 minutes.
You have the right to run the meeting, Harley, but you're doing it incorrectly. When people feel unheard, it perpetuates the feeling of frustration and questioning what is going on, including myself. We want resolution, like Joanne referenced, we want to get along. It's our community, we're neighbors, we care about one another. The
Yes.
way to do that is through transparency. I don't think it's a joke, like you referenced at the select board meeting. I think it's really important. So the more transparent it is, the more we will all feel better about it. So transparency comes with discussion and then action, not action and then discussion. I think that's a really fundamental part of it all. I really, really do. So I appreciate what Martha's saying, and I really respect, that she and Joanne and everyone else wants more harmony. We want to agree, we want to get along, but we have to do that procedurally. And that is not by making decisions and then coming back to talk about it. It's by talking about it and then making those decisions. That's why. Did that make sense?
The timing is difficult.
No, it isn't. Not with, we've been talking about this. You've been bringing this up in meetings for the last 3 months. You've been bringing up the hiring committee and advertising that job. That's an excuse. That's not correct. We've had plenty of time to discuss advertising that position and going forward. Especially, I think with Joni, you have a hiring committee. So this is something that could be done, this could have been done last month. You might say you're panicking now, but that's because it wasn't, well then, it should have been, we should have discussed it before you did that, before it went out to advertisement. That's how you gain transparency and trust.
And do we request permission to make phone calls and interview and check references?
No, that is, we agree collectively.
So all the hiring process, which includes advertising and letting people know there's a position available, and then following up with it.
Not when you're
all
spending
those
public money.
steps.
Not when you're spending public money, like you did with the
Question
lawyer.
about public money.
It was wrong, yeah.
Question about public money. Are you saying it's coming from the general fund?
Where are you saying it's coming from? We didn't discuss where it's coming from.
Are you saying it's coming from the
I can't say
town's
anything because I know nothing about where it's gone, how much it
not.
cost, why we should discuss it. I'd love to know. It's my right as a board member to know what it costs and ahead of time,
Yes,
before.
yes.
Yes,
I
then I
agree.
would know. So if you had told me what it cost, I would know.
No, I'm saying the source of the funds.
All of those things. I mean, do you want to tell me the source of the funds? Catherine is our treasurer.
Okay, we're going to move on for the next, this is the end of the public comment period, and there will be another public comment period at the end of the meeting.
I can't wait for executive.
Thank you.
Across the road.
This is unbelievable.
Approval, the next topic
This is
on the
going to
meeting
continue
is approval of minutes.
Discomfort.
Something to say.
I'm sorry, this is
That's-
not the time for public comment.
Why do you think it's
This
okay
is
for Harley
approval of
not to
minutes.
take public comment?
This meeting is
I'm asking
in
Joni.
recess.
I'm asking
This
Joan.
meeting is in recess.
You're out of control.
No,
Yes, he is. This is not
We are
okay, Joni.
taking
I just-
recess.
I just
This
attended the
meeting
meeting. We
is in
spoke
recess.
specifically about this, about public comment, about how to do public
What
comment. He
about-
is in order.
5 minutes.
All comments go to
But when you
chair.
have a situation,
The next topic is approval of minutes from the May 7th, 2024 regular meeting. Does anybody want to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Any discussion?
No, but Grace, thank you for your efforts. You do a really good job with the minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Does the public get to make a question about the minutes?
Please.
Okay, under public comments, and I don't read anything changed, Grace. It says Sue brings up the Rockingham Public Library director dismissal, reads a letter from her and Marty, and calls for the board to resign, which is correct. Harley said Rockingham took 3 to 5 years to resolve. It took 12 months. And so I just thought that was an important part of it, so I'm just restating that part of it. That he's been saying it took 3 to 5 years to get a new director, but it did not. It took 12 months. That was all.
Thank you, Sue. It's addition or deletion of agenda items. I would like to add something to new business, which is Bill S-220 was passed and takes effect July 1st. A bill concerning libraries, and some of that affects us directly. So I'd like to bring up a couple of aspects of that under new business.
Do you need a motion for that?
Agenda, the approval of the agenda is would be
The new agenda, or the addition, or it all?
The bill takes effect July 1, 2025.
It does, actually, the S55 is July 1st, 2024. 2024.
No, that's 55. That's what they're talking about.
Okay, let's figure that out later. My understanding is some provisions take effect 2024. Not all provisions and guidance, but we'll talk about that when it takes effect. During that, is there a motion to approve the agenda? Oh, are there any other addition or deletion of agenda items? Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Secretary's report?
Do you have a roll call vote on that, as well as all other votes that you take here? Just for the record, so that we know who's voting for what and who's abstaining and who's against it?
We do not need to do that.
Oh, you're different than other government organizations with this.
I've read up on it.
Really?
Secretary's report?
So I don't have a report. However, for the individuals who had like thoughtfully written statements, if you send them to me, I will add them to the minutes as like an addenda. So please do that if you wish to, as I've done in the past.
Thank you. Treasurer's report.
As of the 29th of May, the balance in the checking was $60,434.87. And the Vermont Community Fund, the Growth Fund, and the Reserve Fund both stay at the same balance because I gave you the balance last month as of the end of March, the first quarter. And the second quarter concludes the end of June. We have one more month for the year, the fiscal year. And everything looks good to me. If anybody on the board wants to see the detail of the different categories, I would be happy to forward them.
So how are we doing on our 23-24 budget
We are
overall?
very good. We are a little over $3,000 down in our projected income. we're right on when it comes to spending expenses.
Thank you. Questions for the treasurer's report?
Well, I do have a question. When I went to sign the warrant this month, I noted that a couple of bills were already late. So I know that when we talked about having the warrants come to the meetings monthly, what? I'm just wondering, like, I know we're gonna discuss that later in the meeting, so maybe we'll talk about it then. But, you know, I just think that it'd be great to change our procedure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I think talking about that and upping our game is a good idea. Yes. Questions, is this about the treasurer's report?
Yes.
Sue?
I was just wondering how much money in grants has been taken in since the last meeting, and also over the past 6 months, if the treasurer could update us on the income from grants.
I will answer that disingenuous question. The grant writer, as you know,
Yes.
is the library director.
Yes.
And we have not had a library director.
Why is that? Whoever's responsible for that is responsible for a lack of income for the library. And I think you would have to assume responsibility for that. So
We're working
on
as
top of
fast-
the legal fees that the library has incurred and the town has incurred, and on top of the loss of income from grant writing, and then, you know, the questionable way in which we spend money to advertise for a new director.
I would say that this is no longer a question about the treasurer's report. Thank you. Sue, do you have a question about the treasurer's report?
Yes, I was wondering how much was spent for advertising for the director, for the
That
bidding.
we haven't, the library has not spent anything on advertising.
Okay, who's paying for advertising? So we're going to have to.
We will discuss that during the hiring committee status report. Thank you. Any other questions about the treasurer's report? Joanne?
You mentioned you're down 3,000 in income. Is that normal for this time of year? And can you tell us why we're down 3,000 in income?
We projected,
You're in the last month, so is this normal?
we projected $10,000 for the annual appeal, and we collected $7,915.
We assumed grant income as well, I
We
believe.
had
for-
assumed $2,500 in grant income. We assumed we were gonna make $6,000 in the dinner auction event, and we only made $53.75. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
I'm just a bit confused. So you basically, 50,000 has gone out. So does that mean you only have 10,000 left, or is that?
50,000 has gone out.
50,000 has gone out?
You just let it.
Tell her what then. Don't just give her a funny look. Let her know what the numbers are. Maybe she didn't hear you.
I'm trying to understand the question, Sue.
Yeah, sorry, I just didn't quite, maybe I missed something.
50,000 has gone out.
That's what you said, you kept giving
No.
me numbers.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't think I said anything about $50,000 going out.
How much went out then? Was that 15? She heard something. What went out?
No, I think she just
I
said we
did
were
not
down, they
hear-
expected 10 and they got 75.
Okay.
I didn't hear that anything additionally went out. They just were, that you were projecting 10,000, you received 7,500. Am I sort of correct?
That's the income side, that's not the expense side.
Right.
So I'm confused because I don't know what,
Yeah, we weren't talking about expenditures.
It was a misunderstanding, I think. We're good?
What was the
Okay.
expense then?
No, we weren't talking about expenses. It was just,
But we could.
but the
I-
Joanne's question was, but why the money was down and that was answered.
Gotcha.
Any other, I think that covers the treasurer's report. Director's report?
Hello. May was a quiet month because everybody's out there gardening and nobody wants to come to the library. But our usage was 488 people came in through the doors. And in May of 2023, we only had 391. So we're still up. Our Libby checkouts were 68, our canopy was 73, 73, and interlibrary loan is average 34 received, 39 out. 2 new patrons signed up, and our circulation was 407 books, and that includes 5 DVDs and 7 audios. Our Standing Strong class started strong, but then a couple of the patrons who had signed up had to leave because they had family emergency. But the 4 that stayed were steady, and it went great. And Regina, who taught the class, will be coming back. She really enjoyed it. So, and our nature club is doing well. The average is 5 children come for it every week. Yoga is down to mat, and the average for that is 3. Chair, it ended. We decided to postpone it until September, possibly longer. If we get any more interested in the Ford in the fall, we'll pick it up again. But right now, it's such low attendance, we just let it go.
I believe she's offering to the erstwhile attendee
Yes.
something.
Yeah, Lisa May was just one person coming to chair yoga, and then even that stopped. So we decided to see, it's summer, we get it, it's always very busy outside in the summertime. So our knitting average is 3. Science club, which is a homeschooler club that comes in on Thursdays. There's usually about 5 kids and 3 adults. Story time, which is twice a month. There's about 5 kids and 4 adults with that. That's the average. English language is steady. It's still 3 people show up for that every week. Tech support is 2. The matinee is, we had 1 child and 2 adults, and the child bailed on the movie on the last one. So we're just like, okay, that's fine. T. Reed, they didn't have a meeting this past month of May. Bone Builders is always busy. Average is 8, and Robin had 6 people. Our June events that are coming up is the History of Bees Keeping with William Mars. That's at 11. We've really massively advertised for that. Facebook, newspapers, boosted on Facebook. It's the history of beekeeping. So with Vermont Humanities, the Historical Society had one across the street a couple of months ago, and they had 70 people attend. We can't fit 70 people in this room, so I went to Deb today and asked her, just in case, if that many show up, that we could use the upstairs, and they were fine with it. If we get that many people, if we have to move it over there. But it's gonna be hot up there, because there's no air conditioning up there.
Oh, there is.
Oh, there is?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Is it in?
Yes.
Is it?
You can thank the Historical Society for pushing that through.
June 21st is the Make Music Day. It's a world thing. Make Music Day. So Carl from On Tone Music will be here to play music, dance, sing with the kids, adults, whoever want to join. If you have an instrument and want to come and play, we'd be more than happy to have you. And that's at 4 p.m. on the 21st. And then, we're still gonna run the matinees, so we're running the Boxcar Children Surprise Island, coming up on the 15th. So the library is closed on the 19th for Juneteenth Day. It's on the website. And Pawlet Library gave us approximately 100 boxes of COVID testing kits for free, so they are in the kitchen and we're just gonna give them away. They're good until October. So if anybody needs any COVID tests, you're more than welcome to help yourself. There are not a lot of libraries that have them anymore, so we were lucky to get these. They actually got 5,000 COVID tests and they were giving them away because they just can't give away that much. So Castleton took some as well. So these are my vacations coming up at the end of the month, my vacations. So the list is here. I've got Nina working Saturday, the 29th. And she said she'd work the 2nd of July, and we're closed on the 4th. So I really only need 3 people to.
Oh, so
3 days.
the blanks are where you need coverage?
Yeah, the blanks are where I need coverage, the 28th, 3rd, and the 5th. So, I don't know.
I'd be happy to cover one of those days if you give me a tutorial.
Sure, when
Yeah.
you're ready to learn, I'd be more than happy to teach you. Okay, this isn't on your paper, but, because this was like the 5 o'clock, I got this email. The fire department is coming in on Tuesday, the 18th at 7 p.m. to practice for 2 hours. The whole fire department of Pawlet, they're gonna learn the library. This is just a practice run in case anything happens. They're gonna come in and Jonathan?
June
18th. It's a Tuesday. So they want to have access to the library in the evening of the 18th from 7 to 9. They'd like to practice searching your facility so that we are confident we can do so quickly in the event of a fire or other emergency. They just wanted my permission. They already have a key and a code. They already know those. And they'll let themselves in and out. And I said, sure. They are more than, like, no problem. I mean, even yoga won't be here at 7, so there will be nobody in here. And the only other thing that we need, we've got some light bulbs out that I can't reach, and that would be the one that's on the outside of the building. And then as you come into the foyer or the stairwell or whatever you want, the entrance, it's the tall one way up. There's 2 bulbs out.
Okay, I will.
Okay, I don't, I'm a little concerned more of the one on the outside one because of the stairs and having, changing that. And if any, I just want somebody
Do you know who's done it in the past?
sturdy on their feet. Well, the select board is actually in charge of the building. So really, I think
So we should ask them.
Yes, yeah. At least the outside one. The inside, we probably could do ourselves. Just have a tall ladder.
Is it the one just right over the entrance?
Yes.
No, I'll take care of that.
Are you sure? Because
When I
that's
bring
pretty
stuff up to
high.
the select board, they very nicely
pretty high. That's-
encourage me to take care of it.
Okay, yeah. They just don't want to be bothered.
Yes, but not if it's dangerous.
So,
Oh,
If it's
no,
by the steps.
Safety,
and that's
safety.
like-
yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah.
Okay,
we'll be standing around holding the ladder, and then we'll have more of
nice.
those
Then we all go
things
down.
to catch you in, just in case. We'll get the fire department down here. Hey, that's what we could do.
That's a really good idea. We can
Yes,
do it on Tuesday, the 18th.
I will mention that to them. And then I just included a copy of our Welcome June, and everybody got it on email. We sent it out on Saturday. So, if you want to read it, I just gave you guys a copy.
Yes,
saw
I
it.
wanted to say what a positive, upbeat
Thank you, thank you.
posting. Thank you.
Yeah, it's fun to write. Kind of like a blog.
Any other?
Any questions?
Any questions for the director's report?
So we want to have a lot going on in June, but we have enough to, we still have our regular programs, the yoga and the story time and the English language and all that will still be going on, so. Just the special events was with the history of beekeeping and Carl and.
That's cool.
Yeah, it should be fun. And we will have refreshments at the history of beekeeping, so I'll bring something to do with honey. I was thinking honey butter or something, or I don't know.
Harley Martha has a question.
Is it about the director's report? Yes?
It's not a question. You've probably realized that Robin did not show up on Saturday, June 1st.
Yes,
When I
just
asked
keep
him what was
thinking.
happening, he said he would make another date with you.
Okay,
And
all right,
could you make sure that gets published?
Sure,
as the
sure.
process?
yeah. No, we don't actually do any of this publicity. He does it on his on Front Porch Forum. So I don't really do a big shout out or anything. I be here, once, and most people know that he's always here on the first. Why was I thinking that?
Except that your report now gives the wrong information. He was not here on Saturday.
It just says how many people came.
That's just how many people came in May.
I'm talking about your welcome June report.
Oh, okay, all right. Say I wrote this, okay, sorry. I actually wrote this back at the end of May, so.
Did he say he was coming on June 8th?
He didn't,
Well,
didn't give me a.
June 1st was a Sunday.
I don't remember anything. But
Thank you.
he didn't come to this. People came if he wasn't here.
No, he was here for this.
This was May. That was back in May.
It was in tonight's.
That was May's
front porch.
report. He hasn't, June hasn't happened.
Okay, that's going to,
Oh, okay. But we're-
when
this
is the bee,
We're in June now, so this would be May's report.
Right.
history of
Yeah.
bees at 11 a.m. Uh-oh, ooh, competition.
History of bees.
History of bees at 11 a.m., but
Yeah.
Robin here at 10:30 to 11:30.
Then,
Go get more people.
yeah. We have another room.
Yes, we do. Okay, all right.
We can put him in the children's room. We're downstairs.
Any other questions for the director? Thank you for clarifying that, Martha, that it's June 8th for Robin at 10:30. Nancy. Any other questions for the director's report? Then committee reports, hiring committee, status report. As advertised, yes, we did take out advertisements in the Front Porch Forum, the Granville Sentinel and their other 3 newspapers, and the Manchester Journal. The total cost is $812 for advertising for these positions. That's a significant amount of money. And I would say that our budget this year is doing okay. But as was pointed out, no grant money coming in during this time. So I will not be asking for reimbursement from the board. We are getting applications and interest in people asking questions. And we're responding to that. In our advertisement, we said that we would be, all applications received by June 14th will be reviewed. If we get applications after that, it's up to us whether we accept that. And we will review the applications. Prior to that, though, we will be working on the job description. We have a thorough job description, but we will review it and make sure it meets our current needs. as well as our interview process. That's, am I missing anything, Joni, from the hiring committee status report?
No, I think that was very thorough, thank you.
All right. Questions, Lauren?
Well, so, I'm just procedurally, I'm wondering, once you guys have interviewed, you've narrowed it down to your candidates, you'll then come back and present to the board something, like, who you've narrowed it down and why? Or what are you thinking procedurally?
Rank ordered list.
Of, like, like your
Here's our
first
number
to
one.
third choices or whatever?
Yes, yeah.
And do you
Or
expect to have that
none.
by the July's meeting?
I expect to have that by the July meeting. That's the target. Yes. Other questions on the board? Okay. We have Linda.
Who's going to do the interviewing? Who's going to interview
We're,
candidates?
Joni and I are on the hiring committee, so we will be interviewing the candidates, and we have other people to meet the candidates during that process.
What, like the rest of the board?
Who are the people?
People?
Who are the other people that are meeting the candidates?
We haven't gotten agreement yet, but I would ask the candidates to meet the existing staff.
Which is Adele.
That is what I do know.
Nina and I,
So
yeah,
that's,
meet.
that's one thing that I believe. And then a member or two from the community, but I have not reached out or found anyone from the community yet.
And so, but that process would have to be done openly. I mean, it wouldn't just be you hunting the community members down. That would be a board decision.
Excuse me?
Well, wouldn't it be a board decision?
I don't think so. It's part of the hiring process. Now, if I'm wrong, please do let me know. But I want really, clear indications. But it's a subcommittee of the board doing this, and we are trying to not have a quorum.
Right, right.
But do correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm just trying to remember from my past experiences with subcommittees and reporting back and how that went. But I'll do a little research and we can communicate via email.
Okay. Thank you. Marty?
I've got two questions, and the first is, what qualifications have you advertised as essential for being hired? That's the first. And the second is, when you interview candidates, are you going to inform them that there are currently lawsuits pending and that their position might have to be relinquished if the library loses the lawsuits and if Lindsay's reinstated?
We will apprise the candidates that we select for interview. As we interview them, we will apprise them of the situation as it exists. And we will, when we make a job offer, delineate in writing what the situation is.
And have you, as a criteria for being hired, stated that you want someone with a degree in library science as the director of the library?
We have not stated that because in Vermont, there is a program that is available to people who, once they become a librarian, there's a program to gain their library science degree within 3 years, because in the state of Vermont.
I'm aware of that program.
Oh, great.
However, the point I'm making is you are trying to replace the past director.
I don't think that
And you're stepping down your criteria dramatically by opening the field up to anybody who might in the next 3 years get certification from the state. That's a lot different than someone who has a degree in library science.
I think that is worthy of a fairly long discussion, but we
Let's talk about it.
can't afford that at this meeting, but I would be happy to discuss that with you, Marty?
That's what I.
Oh, we would be happy, it would be a fairly long discussion.
Well, good. Then I'm all ears. I'd love to have that discussion. In fact, if you're seeking a volunteer from the community to help you interview prospective candidates, I'm available for that too.
Thank you.
I have a copy
Sue?
of the ad I could give to Marty. He wanted to know how it was advertised.
Oh, yes, I was,
Would you like a copy of the ad?
Sure.
Joanne,
I just want to clarify something that Joan said, that if a person does not have an MLS degree, what they get from the state of Vermont after completing their 2 or 3 year program is a certificate. It is not a library degree, and it's not valid in other states as well. And one question I have for the committee is that why did you not consider advertising for the job on the Vermont State Library website? Exactly. Or have you already done that? Because I don't believe there's a charge for that. I might be wrong on that, but I don't
I
think there is.
didn't come across that as a feature, however, I'll take that as an action, and if it's available, it'll be done
It is.
tomorrow.
It's just like teachers have spring, what is the name of it?
Indeed.
Right.
No, Indeed is something that you pay for.
It's not Indeed.
It's
It's,
not Indeed.
there was another website for teachers, like
There's one for
Spring something or other,
Yeah.
right? So there's also one for libraries, and it's probably free.
Yeah.
Harlan, we got a couple questions.
Yes, 1 second though, I do want to take that action and make darn sure I got it. Okay.
That's a really good point as to, like, that would have saved potentially Harley a lot of money if we'd had this discussion before those advertisements went out. Like, had we had them last month, then you would have been armed with that information and saved yourself a bundle. And you would have been directed at people specifically looking for library director positions.
Oh, it's worse than that, Lauren. I was told about it
Oh,
and spaced it out.
okay, all right, all right.
Lindsay,
I'm just wondering if you're going to open up to the entire public, who you might ask as a community member to be involved in this process, so that everyone in the community who is interested in being involved in this process might have that opportunity to do so.
no. Next question. Martha?
Just as a reminder to everyone, I'd like to mention 4 or 5 library directors that we've had, none of whom have had a library degree. Betty Daly, Dolores Corino, Patty Wenpenny, and Mary Lou Willett. And I might have left somebody out, I'm sorry if I had.
Beth Cashner.
Beth Cashner. And there you go. And Beth was here for a year, is that correct?
She was there.
Oh, she was here for, she was here for like 6 years, 6, 7 years.
My point is that this library has been under excellent custodialship by those 4 or 5 women during their terms of office. They did not have a library science degree. So I am disagreeing, I guess, I can't speak to other people in the audience, but I just wanted
Oh,
to
that's right.
commend those 5 women.
Thank you.
There's a state requirement, Harley, regarding that it's required that there is a director that holds a library, information and library science degree and/or a Vermont certificate, or a situation where they're working towards their certificate. And that's governed by the Vermont Library Association.
The Vermont State Department of Libraries. Yes,
Correct.
yes, I am aware of that, yes. We have
May I add,
delineated
Joanne,
that. No, Corey,
I have a couple of questions. One, I just wanted to clarify, you're saying that you paid, you out of pocket yourself, Harley, for this, for the advertisement?
I haven't,
Paid yet? You
Haven't-
intend to pay yourself, you're
Paid
not going to bill the library or get it refunded from the library anyway?
No.
That's okay. You do sneak around with words like that. You said it hasn't been paid yet,
oh,
but
no.
that's.
Some of it has, I think I owe 2 more invoices.
Okay, but you're intending for it to come from you personally only?
Yes,
Okay.
because I made the decision to move fast.
Okay, well, right, I just wanted to have that clarified, because it wasn't exactly obvious. You sort of implied it, but you didn't state that that was the case. That's why I
Oh, I'm
just wanted to
sorry.
get that. But my question is, for the hiring committee, have you talked to your lawyer about this, and has the lawyer advised you to hire somebody at this time, or to pursue hiring at this time? And have you reached out to people individually, personally, privately, or are you just putting a public advertisement out to reach for people?
The first part, the lawyer, if yes or no, it's not something I can talk about.
You can say what he said. You can say whether
We-
he said it was okay or not.
That's,
No,
you can, I mean,
I
you're taking the
can't.
fifth on that, that doesn't.
We've been
that doesn't
advised-
sound very-
We're not taking the 5th necessarily, I guess that maybe we are,
That's
but
kind of
we've been
wrong.
advised to really keep all, everything that's between the board and the lawyer confidential. And as per their,
Have you talked to him yet?
About
this?
hiring, I guess.
And if you haven't talked to him about it yet.
we've been advised to keep everything that all communications between us and the lawyer private.
Okay,
Okay.
so,
But the second part of what you said,
Yes.
after the lawyer thing, now I've completely lost it, but I didn't capture
hiring committee,
it.
it's just you two. Are you relying on these ads and publicity outside, I mean, like, publishing in newspapers, or have you reached out to people individually and privately to solicit people to apply for this position?
Oh, we are definitely trying word of mouth. So if you know someone, please encourage them to
I might put in my
apply.
own application, honestly.
Oh,
But no, so you're asking for people to put the word out, or have you reached out to people?
if I hear of any contact, either the person telling me is making sure that person knows, I give them a copy of the advertisement
Okay.
and answer all questions.
Sure.
And if they give me a name and contact information, I reach out to the person, or if Joni, I assume Joni's doing the same thing. She's, knows almost as many people as Jed.
Passing around.
So,
Wait.
and I will put that out for this,
You
Yes,
know, putting it out to the
Yes.
public?
but I mean both.
Right,
I mean,
sort of.
It's posted on the
it's
front.
improper. I mean, like,
In some ways.
I mean, I guess-
For the hiring committee to actually solicit that, I think is not appropriate.
oh, I'm sorry, now I'm really losing track. Say that again, please?
You're advertising this position that's open, and putting it out there for the public, yes. Putting it on the Vermont Department of Libraries or whatever, yes. But I'm just asking if you're personally soliciting people to apply for this position, I don't think that's appropriate.
Oh,
Like, you know.
no,
Maybe
most
allowing them to
hiring
know that
is.
it's available, but if you're soliciting certain people, I mean, the timeline for this is pretty short, so it seems
Yes.
like
Yeah.
you have to,
Yes,
might
I
have people.
don't think I agree that we have those kinds of rules.
Sure. not rules,
Word of
it's
mouth is one of the most effective ways of recruiting.
That's different than what I was talking about, but, yeah.
Oh, okay. Sue, I don't think
Yeah.
you've spoken to this subject yet.
Not yet, I haven't. It's just the advertisement, by not asking or requesting that people who are have a degree in library science, who are actual librarians, to apply for this, and that you've got this step-down group that you're having apply. it sounds like you've got somebody in mind already that's local, and maybe that person fits this criteria, and so you're not even bothering to look for an actual librarian. And I'm just saying, that's what it sounds like, that's what it looks
Oh.
like. The other.
That's a lot of conjecture. It's like in a whole sentence, that was a lot of conjecture.
I read your ads, and it looks like, okay, this is really just for a specific person, and that's who they're gonna.
No, not at all.
And Joni, yeah, but anyway.
Then why aren't you allowing community members
order,
to be involved in
order,
the process?
out of
Yeah.
point of order.
The other part is, okay, so we've got Arlie and Joni, who are the same people, or part of the three. who
Four.
When
The same people.
Three, the same people.
Oh, yes, go ahead. Yeah, I'm tracking.
When you didn't hire the attorney, but an attorney gave you a bill, you're part of the same group that slid the warrant over to the town hall without discussing it in an open meeting. So now you're paying back part of it with your ad money, apparently, or whatever. But
Oh, that's a
still,
nice
you
way to
didn't
look
learn,
at
you
it.
didn't learn from that. And I'm learning that anytime there's just certain board members together doing something, it really needs more oversight. That's all I have to say.
I think if there's any board member that needs more oversight, it would be me.
Well, and the people that go along with you, yeah.
Well, Harley,
I know.
I mean, 2 other members signed the warrant that paid the lawyer bill without discussion.
Right.
Yes, and
So you're not responsible for that.
there is a topic here, warrant procedure.
Yep.
And I want to bring
Move on.
bring that up. I'm going to cap discussion on this topic. Book sale committee, we need volunteers. It doesn't look like we have a volunteer for a bake sale. Do we have any, somebody that wants to, I think when you put the word out for people to bring something baked, you get a pretty big turnout, but it would be too much for the people doing the rest of the book sale to take that on as well. Is there anyone, so I believe I advertised for that on Front Porch Forum. We may not be having a bake sale. I will draw the line at not having coffee though. We will at least have that. The school use fee, I thought we were
Wait,
going to.
I have a question about the bake sale. Do you
yes.
have any kind of like notes from previous years about how much stuff was gathered for the bake sale, or what your expectation is for the bake sale?
We have last year's, and we probably have history pre-COVID
Yeah.
also.
So I mean, because when you mention it, I have no idea. I mean, I was part of a lot of bake sales when my kids were little, but I don't know what that entails, like taking over the bake sale for the book sale.
Well, the one thing I learned recently is no nuts.
Yeah, because of allergies, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like for real. That makes sense.
But if I can get a hold of that from Sally Cleveland,
Yeah, that would be great. You can forward that to me. Thanks.
I would also be interested, I feel like we both have restaurant experience.
Right.
Probably sling a couple
You've got a
of
sister who's got a really good recipe.
I do.
Yeah. I'll buy that.
It Dutch buttercreams, and then we just like,
So I was given a pretty substantial sheath of papers to reserve the school. And that came with costs. And I filled it out, and it was the better part of $1,000. And I dropped it off personally and asked about it, and they said, "Oh no, you're a nonprofit." So, kick, save, and a beauty. Food trucks are
yes,
allowed,
they are allowed, good,
period.
perfect.
So there will be food trucks there, which is different than in years past. Any other thing to report on the books are coming in, continuing to put reminders in. Front Porch Forum has been effective. We had lots of drop-offs today.
When is the sorting?
The sorting is from 9 to 11 on Tuesday mornings. And it's a fun time. Molly, question?
Yeah, when will the last drop-off be? That's helpful to be clarified.
No, because people will wait. I remember that date. It'll happen either the week of the book sale or the week before it'll be turned off of the book sale. The book sale is the 27th through 28th of July. Any other comments or questions about the book sale? Jed, you're second in charge, or third in charge, I think, actually. Any questions or comments? No? Okay. Unfinished business?
Did anybody get a hold of John Butler yet on a 4-H moving?
No.
That's a good.
No,
I understood because they're having their jamboree that weekend at Jimmy Ross's. So it might be, I don't know if they're gonna have to be doing stuff that week to get ready for that or not.
Also, that's a specific 4-H club.
Yeah, our club for sports.
And there's another 4-H club, which I think I will contact. I don't have contact information for the other 4-H club. It's closer into Pawlet, but I don't know. It's not archery and... Okay. I will make sure he's, well, I actually talked to, I think, Mrs. Butler, but I'll make sure they're signed up. Or if there is a conflict, figure out what to do.
You call the extension office and run it out of somebody there that's in charge of the 4-H clubs. Would know whatever clubs there are in the area.
Thank you, Joe. Rules of procedure. So the select board uses rules of procedure to try to keep, meetings under control and also to specify a process. I have posted, Nina posted them on our website for review by the community. I distributed them to y'all. There was one more significant edit, but it removed uncertainty. So I would like to look for a motion to approve the rules of procedure for meetings.
What was the edit?
The edit was, if somebody makes a motion and nobody says anything, the motion is approved. And that
Well, if it wasn't seconded, then it just died.
Yeah, it has to.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So I couldn't figure out why that was in there, and luckily it was pointed out to me.
What page is it on? Do you?
4 or 5. It was item 16. It's no longer in mine. No member can speak more than once on any agenda item or motion. And so after element 15 on page 4.
I'm not clear on what that even is talking about.
Right. I believe when you're adjourning the meeting, if nobody says anything after a motion is made, the meeting is adjourned, but I'm not absolutely sure about that.
But you took number 15 out, is what you're saying?
I took what was number 16, yes, which, if I recall correctly, was if someone makes a motion and there's nothing is said after that, the motion carries, and that just didn't make sense to the person pointing it out to me, nor to me. And we don't lose anything by taking it out. Is anyone willing to make a motion to approve the rules of procedure for meetings?
Everybody that has wanted to look at this and read it, could. It was
Yes.
Posted out.
Yes, on our library website.
I make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Motion carries.
Do you want to discuss?
Oh,
Wait.
I messed up. Before we vote, motion was moved, seconded, discussion among the board, discussion from the public. Martha?
On page 5, number 6, I was somewhat surprised by this, but actually, I think it's a very good idea. At the end of discussion of each agenda item, but before any action is taken by the body, meaning the library board, at each meeting, there may be 5 minutes afforded for open public comment. That's after each agenda item, but before any action is taken. By majority vote, the body, meaning the library board, may increase the time for open public comment and its place on the agenda. So my comment is, I think this is wonderful that it's allowing, you as a board can allow us to make comments on, after each agenda item for about 5 minutes. But I'm wondering then, why do you need to have 10 minutes of public comment at the beginning of the meeting and 15 minutes of public comment at the end of the meeting? And I'm not expecting an answer, I just think you could think about it. Because I think this is a very generous policy and it seems to be new. I have never known this before.
So I'd like to reiterate that I got this from the VTLC, Vermont Libraries and Towns. I messed up.
The league.
Vermont League of Cities and Towns, thank you, VLCT. And I thought that it was a good policy to have during agenda items. Now, that discussion during agenda items is focused on that agenda item.
Right.
Public comment could be on any topic that falls within the purview of the library board. Now, the reason it's at the beginning and at the end is that's what the bylaws state now. And I will mention that I believe we could update our bylaws. I will take a stab at editing them and having them posted on the website as a draft. If you all could review them, at next meeting we can discuss the edits to the bylaws. If you have suggestions for editing the bylaws, I would like to hear them. We will discuss that at the next meeting. And right now, wherever there's a disagreement between the existing bylaws and these rules of procedure, the existing bylaws take precedent. Did I answer?
Thank you.
Yes. It can make for a longer meeting, but on average, I'd say a 10-year average, it shouldn't be too ruinous. Okay, now, other public comment. Bob?
I'd like to just say I appreciate what Adele has done while the directorship has been talked about at these meetings. I've come in, she's always here, kids running around, so I want to appreciate her work while we're looking for a new director or whatever happens.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Bob. Other comments to rules of procedure?
Back to the back to the bylaws that we were just referencing. I just think that's something that I think we would benefit from doing with a library director who knows the governing of the library, and that maybe there's so many other things that are on the table for all of us with the book sale coming up and the hiring and all that kind of stuff that, I think that putting up drafts are good, but that adds a lot of pressure to, when we're not, I don't know, I just feel like when I've read, and I'm sure you have too, like state recommendations, it's generally something that you do with the leadership of a library director.
Yes, Lindsay pointed that out at the last meeting, as a matter of fact.
But
yes.
I read that, forgive me, Lindsay, that I don't remember, I now am triggered that I remember that, but I also have read that online you probably learned about that in your...
And it said that we have the full power to make,
Yeah, of course we do, but... But
So,
it makes sense
with the guidance
because we're not
provided.
librarians, that none of us have a degree in library science nor run a library, that you do that in conjunction with somebody who knows what's going on. And it just would make it, I think, we're guessing, we're stabbing, we're doing research, and that's good, but I just think that it would be more effective to do it with a library director or a librarian when we already are tasked with a lot of other stuff to do.
My thinking was to make these what I think of as minor changes so that they aren't in conflict with the rules of procedure, or we change the rules of procedure to agree with the bylaws. But,
Well, that's something different, and I appreciate that.
yes, but it was just to get them meshed, not a wholesale, because especially bylaws, the law of unintended consequences, when you change something and you thought the wording was clear, but it turns out it can be. So, no, I didn't feel ready for that, but minor changes, and again, we can say, no, let's not touch them. Okay, all in favor of adopting the rules of procedure?
We voted it, didn't we pass it already?
We did, but I messed up by not, first of all, discussing among the board and the, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Warrant procedure. So there's a issue that keeps coming up, and that is the payment to the lawyer, which I totally agree it wasn't in the minutes, it was not discussed. It was done with board knowledge, engaging a lawyer, but the first 3 times we talked to that lawyer, he thought that the town or the Vermont League of Cities and Towns was going to pay. And so we happily went along with that, although it wasn't certain. And then we get an invoice, and I received the invoice, and I didn't submit it for payment, but somehow there was the invoice. And it was paid without board discussion. And I totally agree. Now, my question is there a remedy? Is there a remedy for what I read about, say if there's a violation of open meeting law, you very clearly say what the violation is or was, and you indicate I call it get well, but that's not the words used in the Vermont statutes, of course. But you lay out what would make it better. So here is a violation of it was a big decision, right? I mean, it was a big amount of money for our budget. It was not talked about. The warrant went out. It was signed by 3 people. It's a legitimate expense, except for it was not, as Lauren pointed out, discussed in an open meeting.
Did you discuss an open meeting that you were going to be hiring a lawyer before you hired the lawyer? Well,
No.
So that's where it starts. So
I
think, but if you're going to use public funds, then that's where it would start. It doesn't, so forget the lawyer, forget this experience, but with monies that we spend for the library, it starts with discussion. and it starts with understanding, and then you make a decision. You don't go and do it and then come back and say, this is what I've done, and what do you want to do? That's not the correct order. The correct order would be to discuss it. I've heard from council that I've been advised to hire a lawyer. And you would discuss it as much as you can in public, and whatever you need to do in executive session, the public might have questions, and then you'd make a decision. But none of that was done, which is kind of how this all started, but, right? So then, and before I was a board member and a public member, we would come to meetings and, you weren't able to disclose information. But what should have happened is that it should have been discussed before that lawyer was hired, if that lawyer was representing the board. If it's representing somebody individually, I don't think that's a board issue and you pay out of your pocket. But if you're representing the board, then it should have been discussed openly and decided upon with the board.
So the hiring of the lawyer was the strangest experience I had.
Yeah, and I find it really peculiar that there was a question as to who, like even he was questioning who was going to be responsible.
Yes.
That sounds suspicious to me that he would suggest that and then bill you for it. Like, I think you have a reason to go back to him and say, you must have some kind of written exchange of that, maybe, I hope. If you do, then I think that maybe you wouldn't have to be responsible for that entire bill, because that sounds confusing and vague to me. But also, if he thought that that he would be reimbursed by the lawyer that you have, the organization now that's representing us, is that what he alluded you to believe?
He wasn't certain, but he presented
So at
those
that
two.
point, though, Harley, I would imagine, especially if this was a board decision, you'd want to be certain. Like, you'd want to be certain before you accrued a bill of $3,500. You'd want to know exactly, especially if you're spending public money. You'd want to be certain who's responsible and who's getting billed and where the money's coming from. Like, you wouldn't continue not knowing that, because that puts everybody in a vulnerable position. And it's everybody's money.
If only we had legal advice at that time.
But that is just the way that open meeting law works. Like, that's the way that's the way a board should work. And that protects everybody. If you do it that way, it protects.
Oh yes,
Right?
the
So forget
method you mentioned laying out.
Yeah.
But at the time, that doesn't describe the situation as being this
But
careful, considered.
it's the same thing with the advertising, though, and you're really generous to offer to pay for that yourself. But honestly, if it had done procedurally differently, then you wouldn't have been put in that position, and perhaps information would have been more clear to use those other avenues of advertising that don't cost.
The thing is the timing.
No, because we've
I'm sorry,
been
I
talking.
am talking about the timing, but how long would it take? When would it?
Harley, we've been talking about a hiring committee for 2 months.
Oh, yes.
So it would have been then.
It wasn't approved until last month.
It would have been discussed then.
I'm not sure I would have had the knowledge to think. I didn't think about advertising
What I'm
costs.
worried about, I don't want this to be me against you. I want us to find a way because there are
A
answers.
good conversation.
For sure, but what I'm saying is just standard procedure. It shouldn't be
Yes.
something that is confusing or argumentative. It's just procedure for exactly this point.
Yes, I
And so
agree.
the timing is not relevant and that's also what Catherine said about, well, we can't show the warrants because that would put us we'd be late for paying a bill or something like that when we talked about it before. That's not how it works. So if we have to pay ahead, we pay ahead, but you get in a cycle so that everybody can see the monthly warrants like we experience over at the select board. And then everybody can see it and you sign off on it and it's done. It's not difficult. It doesn't take more time. It's just transparency, and it makes everybody more comfortable with the way the monies are spent. There's so much secrecy that's been around the lawyer and the payment and
Uncertainty.
and uncertainty. Exactly.
Yes. So this has two parts. One is the lawyer bill. Is there a corrective action to correct that specific situation? Because it keeps getting brought up.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
fair
think-
enough. What would the correction for that specific situation? Because the other thing you're talking about will be part two, which is going to be
Correcting our
go
method.
really smoothly.
Right, so I think to answer your first question, and anybody else is welcome to join in, that I would go to the state, I would go higher up for guidance, because I'm not qualified to remedy that situation. I feel like it was done incorrectly, and I feel like that money was spent irresponsibly, and I don't know a solution, so I would look to higher up for a solution to that. That's a lot of money. And it goes against our bylaws. Our bylaws state that anything, any expenditure over $1,000 needs to go out to bid. Certainly, when those bylaws were written, any expenditure should be discussed.
Yes, yes, sorry to point. So I'll take that action to go higher up to say, here's our open meeting law violation. What would the remedy be?
Or I can take that action. I've already taken steps. So,
Okay.
Thank you.
The warrant procedure, that trade space between not getting late fees and making sure that the board has input. I think there's two kinds of expenses. There's the expenses that are in the budget. They've been budgeted, Adele buys books, the bill comes in. Is there board discussion needed for those expenses that are in the budget? And then there's expenses that aren't in the budget, that is someone's action on the board or a staff action that it wasn't in the budget. I remember causing trouble getting chairs into the library because I took a unilateral action.
Well, I mean, are you finished or no?
No. So I was hoping that we could separate those two things, have the warrant still be 3 signatures, but any expense that is outside the budget can only be billed and paid if there is a board discussion in open meeting, which would be every month for any item.
So I think that sounds too complicated and more work. I think that in my experience on a board before, the warrant went out with all those regular expenditures and planned and unplanned. And, you know, most of them don't warrant, the vast majority won't warrant discussion. It's an oversight. You just, I mean, not an oversight rather, but you just overseeing. You just look at them, you check it off. You see that regularly, the book bill or whatever those Adele's costs are. You see the electric bill, you see the cable bill. Those things, you don't question those things.
But you look at them, right?
But you can, but you can look at them. You just keep them all uniform, and then if there's something in particular that someone has a question about, like an unknown expenditure, then you can be discussed. But this wouldn't add to like time here in the meetings. We would all we'd be armed with that before the meeting, or not. I mean, in our case, there was a folder that went around, and then you still only need 3. You only need a majority of signatures. You don't need. You can just do it right during the meeting. You pass the folder around, and 3 people sign off. But everybody discusses it, and everybody sees the spend, the bills.
The advantage of what we do now is because it doesn't occur during a meeting, I take my own sweet time trying to find a math error. You know, like, and understanding, well, where the hell, how did that come from? And then figuring it out. Usually it's a matter of figuring it out, but it's 10 minutes. And if something comes across my desk in this situation, I'm signing it. I'll scan it and sign it.
How often do you find an error?
I only found one, and not only that, it was corrected on the actual warrant.
So, exactly.
Sometimes I am curious about what money is spent on, but in terms of math errors, I've been defeated.
Yeah, so that, you know, I don't know if you come up with an arrangement to see the warrant sooner and you can look over things, but honestly, what I'm saying isn't complicated and isn't difficult. It isn't, it's not any more work for anybody.
So, I did talk to Julie, and she does now send out the warrant to the select board members
Ahead
a
of
priori, and then they get it, and they're signing it within a minute.
Great.
But it's,
But they all see it.
They all see it.
Right.
Yes. And so what I'm hearing, and push back, but having the warrant at the beginning of the month is gonna be cleaner, and it will be open meeting versus 3 signatures of 3 random people.
So let me understand what you're telling me then. So when she gives me the bills in another week, I prepare the warrant, but I don't do anything with it until after the July meeting. You guys look at it at the July meeting.
That is what we're saying.
Send an email, if you're gonna send an email, she's gonna send an email to all the board members with the warrant on it.
Yes, but the approval won't happen until the
Board
July
meeting.
Asking
meeting.
about approval.
No, but we do approve it in the public meeting.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so how does the select board do that and have their bills paid on time? I mean, I don't think that I don't think you have, when I receive a bill in the mail, I have 30 days. So, and when I looked at the warrant this month, 2 of them were already late. I looked at the warrant, it was like May 15th or 14th, and those bills were due May 10th. There was another one that was, do you know what I'm talking about?
What bills are you talking about?
I have copies of them.
Well, do you mind if, while you're looking that up, I think Sue had her.
Sure.
Did you have your hand raised?
No, I was,
Thought I
no,
had
just about that you can send an email to everybody with the warrants on it, you look at them, and then you come to the meeting, and then.
Yes, you're right.
And sign them, and, go from
Yeah.
there.
You're right.
I mean, it's pretty clean.
How is that different from me letting everybody on the board know that the warrant is here in the library and that they can come in?
They can see it on their email, they can sit in the kitchen and look at it.
But there's no backup to the numbers, because I can't.
If they need backup, then they can come in and look at them.
So 2 of the bills that I looked at for the warrant was a retail bill. I looked at this on May 15th, and the payment was due on May 10th. So you received it April 15th. And
You don't
then-
have auto debit?
They mailed it April 15th. And actually, I went online, you can go online, we look online, and the bill was for $47. I
Right.
print that out, and then 2 weeks later, I get this bill and go, why am I getting this bill when online it says it's $47?
But this is $47.
So, yes.
But, and then
And that's the one
the other
I
one
printed
was
out.
Matt
Yeah.
Levitra, which was, it was, the date is April 8th.
That's when he sent the email. So he sent the email. As soon as I got the email, I printed out, I put it in with the bill folder.
But that was, no, April 8th.
This was when so the work he did, he
It was February, March, and April 5th.
Yes, but he didn't bill us for this until he sent this.
Right, he sent
But-
this though on April 8th.
Yes.
And this was
then
paid
at
in
the
May.
beginning
If the April warrant was already paid.
Yeah, if the April-
Then it waits until the next month.
Oh, I see, because this was after the April meeting.
After the April warrant was signed.
Yeah, and the credit card too can be quite iffy to deal with, because you're not exactly the charges that are going to be on it. We've had some credit card issues, we got hacked, we had to change our number.
Yeah.
Which affected the automatic payments that we have for the internet and other things. So we try to go online and do it that way, but it doesn't work that well. To be able to check off everything that we charged and stuff. And then,
So I'm looking for a motion, I think, to change our procedure from signing the warrant with 3 signatures to having the warrant sent to the board members and the board approve it in open meeting during the regularly scheduled meeting. During the transient period, as we, maybe we'll have late bills and we'll have late fees, but we identify them and get ahead of them, because there'll be some individual ones.
Right.
Is anyone willing to make that motion? There'll be discussion. Is anybody I'm looking for that motion. Is there a better motion?
It's a little bit complex. I'd like to make the motion, but I'm not entirely exactly sure of what we're doing. I guess what I'm trying to look for is whatever that working model is that works so easily for the select board. So that gets emailed from Julie.
They have a meeting every other week.
They have it every 2 weeks, I know. But we did it I'll have to ask Kelly Waite. She was the treasurer when I was on the school board. I can ask her how that, because
Do they meet monthly?
well, they did when I was a member.
Yeah.
And so, because I think a lot of boards meet monthly and a lot of boards do it this way. So there must be a way that is streamlined and easy for everybody, including the treasurer.
Late fees, because that's what's gonna happen, is you're gonna start getting late.
Well,
We already have them. And we will get ahead.
Yes, we will get ahead of it because we will have a process that's locked down. And then we start chasing the individual late fees and figure out a better way. So the motion would be, we receive the warrant ahead of the meeting by some number of days. We sign the warrant, we review and sign the warrant during open meeting.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking of.
I'd like to make that motion.
Okay. Is there a second? Look, the rules of procedure say the board can second a motion. I second.
Joni second. Joni second.
Joni, now discussion.
Whatever you tell me to do, I will try, but I agree, there's going to be late charges, especially on the credit card. Because those deadlines are hard and fast.
Oh, yeah, they count
Not
them.
only will be late charges, there'll be interest.
What day of the month?
Change the date, if you pay the bill in full,
Which is what we do. We pay the bill in full, but it has to be paid by a certain date. And if I can't submit it to the treasurer to be paid until after the due date comes, then
Change the date with the credit card company to like the 18th of the month.
If you pay in full, you could change the date.
Change the date.
I don't see any other way around it.
Okay, and possibly ask Julie what she does?
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
I mean, she's got one step fewer, but
Right.
I'm not sure if she goes ahead and pays bills to avoid late fees.
No, she does warrants. And
Oh.
sign them.
And thou shalt not pay the bill.
Right.
Okay.
She doesn't pay it without them.
Okay, thank you. I know she presents warrants, I'm just not sure the back office actions.
No, there's no back office action.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other discussion on this?
Martha has a question.
Sorry?
I said Martha has a question.
Among the board first? No? Martha?
I want to go back to the disagreement that started this about, well, in your bylaws, which you will be addressing in the next month or so, in your bylaws on page 2, it says that with the library director drafts operating budget for the board's final revision and approval at the October meeting, in mid-November sends approved operating budget to town treasurer and town report. In mid-November sends requests for any additional money from the town budget to the select board. So what I'm seeing from your bylaws is you spend a lot of your time on creating a budget. And it seems to me, why would you need to pass a warrant around for things that are already budgeted, and that you've already spent 2 or 3 months on getting this budget ready and sending it to the town report? So I'm going back to this original disagreement where Carly suggested that you only discuss things that haven't been in the budget. I think that's a much simpler way to go, actually. No.
Okay, I can answer that. You have a budget. The town has a budget. Everyone has a budget because they have planning. But then when real money is being really dispersed, you have a check. You have to have a check and balance kind of thing. And that's the check and balance is, here's the warrant, here's the expenses, do we approve them? Because the budget is our best guess, and I would say the amount of time we're spending on it isn't that 2 or 3 months, but it takes some effort to plan. And it's the check. You always have some check and balance as you're really spending real money. Now, it is not the general fund money. It is our library's own budget. It's not the general fund. It's not the taxpayers' money. However, the mode of our having a warrant like this and imitating the select board is an improved system, I believe.
Well, I would just say, I think the reason you have a treasurer is the treasurer makes those decisions when she writes a check. She knows what her budget is. She knows whether this item falls in the budget. And if it doesn't fall, then you bring it, if it's an item that exceeds what's in the budget, then you bring it to the rest of the board.
I appreciate that, Martha, but I don't pay the bills.
You take it to Julie.
Julie has control over the checking account.
And I think it's an open meeting.
I do put together the warrant.
Whether it's in the budget or not, or you have.
Well, basically, the warrant stuff doesn't change from month to month, for the most part. Once in a while it does.
But would this allow you to pay the credit card bills on time rather than getting interest charges?
I'll have to go back and refresh my memory with Julie, but I believe that there was a vote a number of years ago that the credit card bill could be given to Julie all by itself, and she would pay it.
But would it show up on the warrant?
And then it would be itemized on the warrant as to what expenses were attached to that particular bill. But we did that because we were constantly being late on the credit card bill because of this bulky way we pay our bills.
So is that something that we could go back to doing just for the credit card?
I want to talk to Julie and make sure that that my memory of that is correct. Yes.
Corey?
I just was saying that, I'm pretty sure there'd be guidance with open meeting law about this as a publicly elected board, that you would need to do it the way you guys are talking about it, not the way Martha's suggesting. I mean, it seems like you would be kind of prepared in that you would have your receipts that you charge to the credit card, and then you would kind of have a knowledge of what was coming up. But the timing of getting that to Julie and the official stuff is what we're waiting on. But yeah, I think that as a publicly elected board, that you have different expectations.
Yes. Thank you, Corey. Other discussion? All in favor of the motion, I think the chair is supposed to repeat the motion, that the warrant is sent out prior to the, electronically sent out prior to the meeting, and the warrant is signed by the board at a meeting during an open meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Thank you. Vermont Department of Libraries trustee training.
So on May 23rd, we had a meeting with Kevin Unrath of the Vermont Department of Libraries. Our library met with, it was Grace and I from our library representing 2 members of the Rupert Library, as well as their director, who also happens to be on the board of the Dorset Library. So we had a nice constellation of local libraries meeting. It was the board training is basically going through the library board handbook. and them really bringing about the idea that public libraries are essential to our democracy. And during these times, libraries are the fundamental actor where we have all members of community are welcome here. All members of the community are free to use the library and free to engage with the library. And just how important that is during these times. So there are going to be some changes, which are we going to discuss those changes to the handbook or to the Vermont library law or the Vermont law regarding libraries? Is that going to be coming up later in our discussion tonight? Yes, that's coming up next.
Because of the
bills.
The Senate bill? Oh, Kevin talked about that?
Yes.
Oh.
And how Vermont is really leading in our country as far as how people access library and privacy laws. So it was an exciting changes happening to Vermont law. Gosh, it was a lovely evening, and I'm trying to, sorry. So basically, the library board has the full power to manage the public library was the gist of the conversation, and what our duties are to the library and to the community, and how we operate within those rules. So, yeah.
Worthwhile?
Definitely worthwhile. And it was also lovely to meet other members of boards from local communities and to be able to form relationships that I hope to really forge so that we can begin having more interactions between our communities.
Thank you.
Yes.
Are you members of the library, like the blog, the emails that, I think Harley, you're a member, I'm a member, but they're almost daily, there's collaborative communication though about, and you can also post a question to other libraries, municipal libraries throughout the state. It's really invaluable information. And
I never think of posting questions.
Yeah, I have, but I haven't done it yet.
Thank you for reminding me that I would like to speak with you about that and get more information because I'm not on that listserv. But there was an action item that he asked that we think about taking, that we as board members should consider having email addresses that are like boardmember1@pawletlibrary.gmail.com, where we have so that our communications that are regarding the library are happening separate from our private accounts.
That's a good idea.
And that
protects us too.
That protects us, and that's, it's part of the confidentiality laws, and it's part of protecting us and protecting the library. So that was an action item that he asked that we strongly consider taking.
Now, these should actually be created by the library, because one of the problems with creating a Gmail account is it's your Gmail account no matter what you're calling it.
Right.
And then
Yes.
if you get hit by a bus,
or if a board member quits, which that happens a lot as well. So
More
a
so
board
than the
member
bus.
gets voted in, they don't like being on the board for whatever reason, and they'll quit 6 months later. And then the board is stuck filling the position.
but I don't see a reason that we can't create the Gmail accounts
Yes.
by the library.
So that's what he said, was to create a generic account where it would be like board member 1, board member 2, et cetera. And then as people transfer in and out of the board, that email address then gets transferred to that person, so that
Wow.
it is a library, the email is a library entity, not as you said, a personal entity.
Now, the select board uses names.
Okay. So we could do that too, where it would be.
Yes, and
Joni
so it's that sweet spot between we can't get at it and somebody automatically gets that in all the history. So, name by name.
Great.
Okay, thank you. Myself and Adele will look into that unless someone objects. No. Checking multiple email accounts is.
But if it's a Gmail account, you can get it to pop forward or to.
Yeah, you can get it forwarded, yes. Okay. Anything else from Kevin or the library trustee training?
The most exciting parts are the things that are to come next. So the most exciting about the policies and updates, that was Chris, did you have anything that you was?
Is it due to the Senate bill that?
Yeah, the Senate, so the Senate, that was a large portion of it, discussing how that was going to be, changing the way that open meeting laws work, depending on the bill that was passed.
Just some figuring it out.
So, no, so S55, do you want me to speak to that now?
S55 I'm not aware of.
Okay, so S55, I'm not sure whether.
After S.
S, as in Sam. I'm not sure where it is.
Senate.
As in Senate, exactly.
Yes.
I'm not sure where it is as far as it's in the process of being passed or not, but it's a bill that will make, it deals with boards and how records are kept. And so they're asking that open meeting law will move to a more hybridized form so that people have the opportunity to either be in person or remote. And that if someone requests it, we would then need to provide, if we're having a physical meeting, we would need to provide an online option for people who request it. Or if it's an online meeting, we would need to be providing a physical space. So the board would have, let's see. So, and then after the board meeting, we would have to record the meetings and have them available for 30 days after the meeting until the next minutes are approved. So anybody who wanted to
Record it as in?
So this was, what was tricky was, he wasn't
even sure.
He wasn't sure whether it was gonna have to be, audio or visual recordings, or both audio and visual. And the sticky wicket of it is that the Senate is not making provisions on how libraries are to pay for this, or how boards are supposed to be,
It passed the way on the sign.
it was signed?
Effective, I think, July 1st.
So, yes, so this one was due.
It was approved by the governor, S55?
So I saw something come across my desk this afternoon that, but, about this, and also the other, is it S22?
S220.
220, thank you. So
That is approved by the governor.
So we will have to, now that those are approved, we'll have to figure out how we're going to manifest that, if we're going, how we're going to record and post.
Well, one thing, at least on the S220, is Vermont Department of Libraries is saying we're working on guidance for the libraries. So that's part of it. But the only significant, or not the only significant thing, but a very significant thing is our privacy policy. Kids, children 12 years and older have a right to privacy instead of 16 and older.
Yeah. I think Jed had a question. Did you have a question?
Jim?
Jed?
Jed. Oh, Jed.
I thought they did that so it wasn't affecting smaller towns, because it's gonna be so expensive. There was a minimum population.
Okay. We will ask Vermont Department of Libraries about that. They will know. Thank you.
He did speak to the complication of that, because if you're going to have it posted, a lot of the very small libraries don't have websites, and so how are people, they are really in the mix with this, trying to, work out exactly what it's going to look like. And so it's going to be nice having some guidelines. It's going to,
yes, thank you.
Guidance.
I'm going to move on to policies. List of policies existing and non-existing is not on our website, but the following policies are, which are not revisions. They've been policies that the library has had. American Library Association Bill of Rights and Code of Ethics is posted on our website. Freedom to read policy and freedom to view policy is on our website, as well as consideration of materials. If someone, patron says, I would like you to reconsider having this, there's a form to fill out, as well as I believe our policy about materials selection is also posted on our website. So review those, but these are not new and don't need approval. And most, not the form for reconsidering materials or selection of materials, although those were developed with guidance from the Vermont Department of Libraries, but these other policies are from the American Library Association, freedom to read policies from the American Library Association, freedom to view is from another organization. They're external to us, but I think they were considered, maybe how to describe it, what you want in your library. Any new business? Public comment, 15 minutes. Sue?
Yeah, just about when you were talking about unilateral decisions should not be made, unilateral decisions that you had made before and shouldn't be doing them when they involve money or something that should be talked about in a public meeting. You know, like lawyers, like advertising, or large amounts of furniture, or whatever. But just because you're the chair doesn't mean that you have all, you know, that you're the seat of all power. You have a board and you have a community. So that's all I had to say about that. And the other thing is, I still think it's a mistake to continue to look for a new library director, because Lindsay could end up having her job back very soon, and the person that you hire will end up losing their job, and then they could end up suing the town or whatever because they were thought that they were hired and somebody else wasn't going to get her job back or whatever. But it's a mistake to hire somebody else when our director could have her job back at any time. So.
Thank you, Sue. Jen?
Casella's trash pickup, do we get billed twice a month, no matter what we put out?
Yes, if we have more than what fits in the containers, we get billed more.
Right. But I could fill them myself.
Yes.
Like last week, well, I got all the cardboard in that we were throwing out.
Oh. Uh-huh.
And I had some stuff of my own.
Uh-huh.
And I filled the other one because I figured they're gonna charge us for.
No, I don't think they charge us a flat rate.
Right.
Unless we have more than what fits in those containers. But if the containers are empty or half empty, there's no credit.
Right. And if we don't put them out, we're not saving anything.
I don't, maybe Sue knows because she dealt with.
You get charged the same when you put out the
Thank you, Sue.
can or not. Yeah.
Okay. So fill them up, yes. Okay. Lindsay?
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate what I tried to say when I was cut off and not allowed to speak at the first public comment.
Thank you.
Which is addressing the chair's actions outside of the library board as a whole, referring directly to the Pawlet Public Library's bylaws, and that it is a direct violation for any single person within the board to act on their own account outside of the board as a whole. The chair has done this countless times and as the entire board then is sort of complacent because nobody is following the bylaws and everyone is allowing this to happen. And the chair has also countless times made these independent actions and then come back and said, oh, I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry about that. My mistake. And that's completely and utterly unacceptable.
I want to respectfully just say that I have actually been trying to bring it to everyone's attention. I haven't gone complacently along with it.
Say that again.
I just wanted to say respectfully that I have not been complacent, that I've been bringing up these issues for the last couple of months.
Kana?
Hi, I
just wanted to offer to speak to whoever on the board that might be interested in possibly assisting with management of your library credit card. I do that at my job for the federal government as one of my tasks. It's down pat. We are not late ever because we are spending taxpayer dollars, our dollars. So there is a pretty simple system that could be set up to work for the library. I'm happy to share what our rules and what our policies are that would help the library. At the most, it would be 1 month's time to get on target. And if you call the credit card company in advance, whoever it is, we deal with Citibank for ours, you can call them and say, we're a nonprofit, we're switching out our financial processes, could you grant us an extra week without getting any late charge and change our due date to X? My suggestion would be change it to the last week of the month, where the invoices come out for the credit card. The board gets emailed them.
Yep.
You're always meeting in the first week or second week of the month, therefore the board would have the opportunity to review them in person and approve them or not, or question them. And then they would go over to the town hall for however long it takes them to send the payment in, and by the last week of the month it would always get paid. But there are a few more details I'd be happy to share with someone about how that gets done if you are interested, because trust me, we are not late on our government credit card payments ever, and we do not have the ability to pay interest. So the person whose name or who manages that credit card is responsible to make sure that actions happen the way we have ours set up. I'm not familiar with how you have yours set up. I just wanted to offer. And the other thing I wanted to say was, regarding the advertisements, have you reached out to any of the colleges in the state of Vermont or nearby New York and New Hampshire that have library programs to their career centers to say, this is a part-time library position, you're just graduating with a degree in this? Maybe people would be interested, and that's another one of those no-charge places you could get the word out into the library systems of nearby places. Somebody might want to move here. We're a great town. This is a fabulous library. I can't imagine that nearby people might not see the forum or wherever the ads are being advertised. But the first thing that came to my mind was a recent graduate is going to have the degree that you're seeking and not be unrealistic about how much the town's ability to pay them is. I don't know what the salary or the hourly whatever, but we're a small town. It's not the same as a big city, but that might be a place to at least seek some variety in who might apply for the position. I strongly agree with the previous comments that say whoever's applying for these jobs needs to know that and have it written in some kind of contract that it may or may not be a permanent position. So just a couple thoughts there that I'm happy to share.
Thank you both for the credit card and also the colleges with library of science degrees.
And I have one question. I don't know if the state of Vermont requires this or not, but is the library bound by any kind of records management since you are spending public money? I know the public money is being dispersed by the town to the library for your budget, but does the state of Vermont have anything regarding records management so that there is accountability for where you're spending taxpayer dollars? Because the email part was the part that caught my attention in bringing that up, because emails in the federal government, you have to use your federal government for all business. You can't use your personal. And then those records are permanent records for the government that anybody in the country or world can ask for FOIA requests on what's happening in those public emails. So that brought up a question for me. I don't know if the state has records laws. I don't know if the town has records laws, but when you're starting to mix like personal emails with discussing public funds, it can get really messy. So I agree that I think there should be something like board member at Pawlet Library or however you set up the emails. I think that that's a good thing to keep for records.
Thank you. To clarification, the taxpayer funds are for salaries only.
Okay.
However, we turn everything over to Julie, and my assumption is they have on-site and off-site backup of everything. I haven't confirmed with Julie. Oh, can I see the warrant from April of 2022, for example?
I could give you that. if you really wanted
Oh,
it.
do you keep them? Do you keep the warrants?
Yes.
Oh, I thought they went to Julie and that's it.
I go back many
Oh.
years.
Oh.
Records.
And-
Email or hard copies? Hard copies?
No, it's on my computer.
Oh, okay, so that's the
Oh,
personal.
oh, not the hard copy that goes over to Julie.
No, I don't have the hard, I could print one if you want it.
No, they have the,
Or a library computer?
Excuse me?
I said, is it on a personal computer?
Yes, ma'am.
Or a library computer? Like in our office, there's lots of discussions going around by email on federal emails, but there's only one person that's ultimately responsible for the permanent record of the transaction. And it's quite possible that on the financial situation of the library, that Julie, who's paying the bills, is that person responsible for maintaining the permanent record of the library expenses. So in that case, it might not even be an issue here, but the email part of it, Julie's not gonna have that as a backup, and that was my question, does the state have records retention policies that apply to libraries? I don't know, I'm just putting that out there.
yes, and that's a good question, and I will ask Vermont Department of Libraries. Thank you. Other public comment? Oh, Martha?
I would appreciate it if someone could clarify which policies are going to be posted on the library website and which policies you're going to be addressing at the next board meeting.
Very good. So the minor edits to the bylaws will be posted for discussion by the board. And I have prepared a pets policy, but
I
didn't
thought we
see-
did that already, didn't we?
We did.
We did it.
Did we approve that?
We just discussed
It
it?
was set up for discussion.
Yeah, it's not in the minutes. But the gift policy, you mentioned that you found one also. I mean, I found one and modified it for our purposes.
Yes.
But
And
there
we
was,
discussed that one, didn't we?
no.
So I just read them at home, because you sent us copies of
Yes,
those.
so-
Of the one I prepared, but I didn't see or
No.
cannot find the one
I
that
haven't.
you found.
I haven't done that, and I really think that it would be.
Oh, I
better-
thought you had a 7-page version that you got
I
from someone.
probably do, actually.
Oh.
I would have to
Okay.
prepare that for next month's meeting, so I can try to do that.
So gift policy for sure, pet policy will be posted. Anybody else have any policies that they've been working
I've
on?
been working on the children and unattended children's policies for the library.
You can be able to post that prior to next month's meeting and for the public, I saw a look.
This month is nuts. We are moving into my craziest month of the year, so I'm not sure if I can do it before next month's meeting.
Okay,
But I'm working on it. I
the
can
children
get
will still be here, unattended and otherwise.
Great. En masse.
So
Okay,
we're
so-
saying that 2 different versions of a gift receiving.
Possibly 2 different versions, or probably one version posted after a discussion between, if Lauren has a version that she prefers, you and I can discuss it.
Yeah, well, we can all discuss it, but I also still want to explore the concept of doing a Friends of the Library subcommittee and nonprofit organization, which I know that you've said has been tried in the past and has fallen flat, but I think that that is a really sound way to go forward as well. I mean, it's tough when we have only 5 members on our board, but It doesn't have to be board members, it's community members. And
Oh, yes, I understand that. But prior to the book sale?
no,
Oh, okay.
no. But these are things these are longitudinal improvements, like,
Okay,
like we're
yes.
trying.
So for next month, probably not a Friends of the Library detailed proposal.
Right,
No.
thank you.
As far as the gifts policy, I wanted to suggest that you take a look at the Salem Library gifts policy. It seemed, if we had had that in place 2 months ago, it would have answered all the questions about the rare books, who does what with the rare books, and whether they should go to the library sale or not. That the policy is very complete, so I'm just suggesting you take a look at it.
Well, and they're also.
We did more than take a
Yeah.
look at it. It wasn't copyrighted, so I stole it.
Yeah, we all looked at the Salem's policies, but I also think it's a good idea to look at ones that are in the state of Vermont. I understand that Salem's close by, but it's New York State, and they have different, just like Granville schools versus Vermont schools. I think that is opening us up to a can of worms when we can find very good examples of Vermont policies already.
Yes.
It's the issues, how they address all the different issues. Maybe you can
That's
find
what policies are for, Martha, exactly.
What, you could maybe find one from the Vermont Library, but as an example, as I'm saying, that if that had been, something similar to that had been in place 2 months ago when there was all the discussion about the rare books and whether they should be sold online or whether they should go to the library sale, that policy in Salem addresses every possible option and what the recourse is. So I'm just saying it's a good model for you.
And I looked at a couple of different gift policy things, and that was one thing they had in common, that you can make the donation, but it's up to the board to decide what to do with it.
And once it becomes like donated, it's the property of the library.
Yes. Other comments for public comment? A reflection of operating norms, did they show up? They're not underneath your...
Nope, that's a blank piece of paper.
Okay, well, were we polite? The meeting got better.
We improved.
Next regular meeting, July 2nd. Think about any special topics, and that goes for the community as well. I'm looking for a motion to go into executive session for confidential attorney-client communications made for the purposes of providing professional legal services to the body. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Discussion, no.